Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 561, and today we're doing battle with the Wings Giving Nidalee. And so, in my opinion, with this Dreamlit Path set, it's not about Lux, it's not about Lillia, it's not about Vex. The big story, if you will, coming out of this set is actually the stories. And so in our previous video, we covered off on Annie Jin using the arena's finest, and today we're going to focus in on the Wings Giving. If you're not familiar with it, it's very similar to concurrent timelines, to where you pick an ally, so it's going to be a unit that's already on board, and then you pick one of three followers that cost one more to transform it into. So if we say target Conchologist that we have on board, the game is going to give us the option between three units that cost 3 mana, and the Conchologist will transform into that. The level 3 of this kicks it up to 2, and so if we targeted the Conchologist, instead of turning from a 2 into a 3, it would turn into a 2 from a 4. And so lots of very interesting things that we can now come about and start to use with the Wings Giving. We have a small Transformers kind of package, and so Nidalee cares about seeing transforms happen, and then we do have a little bit of the Transformers within the deck. So we have the unit boosters in the Bristle Hog, the Chief Neck Attack, we have the utility type units in the All-Terrain Trooper and the Avenging Vestaya, and then we still have the big Game Ender and the Towering Paraphant. But the thing to really keep in mind as far as these transforms go is that anything that has been granted to the unit that transforms sticks to it. And so if we do come in and have a Chief Neck Attack on the board, we use the Wings Giving onto a unit that's already down, it's going to transform up 1, get that +1/+1, and get that impact. Then if we say target that same unit again, it's going to go up another level, it's going to get another +1/+1, and it's going to get another stack of impact. Now, where that gets really humongous and really exciting is, of course, with the Big Game Tycoon. If you're not familiar with this guy from the Nidalee decks of past, he does manifest a unit with ambush when he comes onto the board, but that's not the real fun part here, right? The real fun part with the Big Game Tycoon is that when an ally transforms, you get to double its power and double its health. And so we have a fantastic collection of units that are able to do that. Nidalee transform into a big Overwhelm unit. The Towering Paraphant transforms into a big Overwhelm unit. But we have another source of transforms these days in the Wings Giving, right? We can use the Wings Giving, upgrade a unit not only 1 in cost, but in double stats. And then ideally, we can just use that unit to kill our opponent with. If the unit doesn't naturally get Overwhelm, we do have access to Supercharge to give it Overwhelm and Spell Shield. The key thing with Supercharge being is that this is a grant ability. If you paid a touch of attention to what we said earlier, those grant abilities stick. And so if we say target just rando Avenging Vestaya with the Supercharge and then transform it into a 4-drop, it's still going to maintain that collection of Spell Shield and Overwhelm. So we have a fantastic collection of synergies between the Wings Giving and the Big Game Tycoon, getting real combo stuff with the Curious Changeling, the upgrades from the Chief Neck Attack, and then all of this stuff kind of working well with Nidalee and helping her transform. And so that's it. That's what we'll be doing battle with today. I'll try my best. I'll try my hardest. Now, I think there might be something to this deck. There might be a real deck that lives within this, but I'll be honest with you, my brain does not function well with this style of deck. I have a really hard time kind of envisioning this style of combo. And so we'll try. We'll probably steal a game or two off of our opponents, but excuse me, this is certainly not in the wheelhouse of the decks that I'm super familiar with and super good at winning games with. We'll say that. But reasonable enough start. We have some Bristle Hogs with a Nidalee. We're up against Vi Aphelios, so I assume that we're going to have a little bit of time against it. It's probably some kind of ballistic bot deck that's going to look to do like a lot of value plays, discarding garbage to Aphelios and moving from there. And so where I'm trying to go with this is I feel like we'll have a bit of time. I think we'll have a reasonable amount of time to get the combos on board with the Big Game Tycoon, and we should be able to really pop off a few turns from now with this double Bristle Hog and the Chief Neck Attack, and then flipping up a Nidalee on turn 4. Ooh, the Wings Giving turns up. Interesting. I'm going to just go ahead and take the open attack here Too easy for opponent to have units here. They're going to start doing stuff, but we should be in the space to where we're able to start taking advantage of this Nidalee, taking advantage of this Wings Giving. Now, we can use the Wings Giving onto the Bristle Hog. It's not the world's most exciting target, right? Turning a 1-drop into a 2-drop, but looking at the cards that we're going to have access to, it does have a lot of powerful plays that can tie into that. It's going to get +2/+1 from the transform. It's going to get 1/1 in impact from the Chief Knack attack, and so just getting that little bit of that little bit of transform power, even though it is just a 1-drop, it is a potentially scary unit for the opponent. All right, they're out here just making these value plays. That's fine. I don't think they'll want to attack directly into our Nidalee. It looks like we're safe for the moment. And so let's get some of this stuff going, right? We can still burst speed flip our Nidalee if we need to. I don't think that that's going to be the case, but I would like to go ahead and get the Conchologist on board, try and hit it with the Wings Giving, and see if we can't pop off from there. That was a Calibrum, right? What's this, 1/2 in lifesteal? I checked on who cares about that, and it's nobody. it's nobody. That's who cares. Then we did pick up a new spell. This is an interesting one that comes out of Conchologist now. You grow an ally's power or health to 5 this round. Can be used offensively or defensively, whatever you're needing. Very strong stuff. All right. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and take the. I'm going to take the transform onto the Conchologist here. He picked up the double stun, which I assume he'd want to kind of convert over to a usage on Nidalee. And so, oh, did we do this backwards? Shit, I thought that we were going to be able to... That's my bad. Hang on. I got a little bamboozled in how we were going to be able to manage that. Now, this is kind of an interesting set, and we can pop the Scarthane Stefan with the Pytos to take Aphelios off of the board. We would lose the unit in the process, but I think this is probably worth it. And then we're going to be popping off on our next attack token. We'll see if we can do this without fucking it up, but... having access to a big game hunter with double Wings Giving on board, we should be able to do something with that. And so we'll see how this plays out 2 turns from now.
Here comes the punchline.
Here comes the punchline. Vi coming in. We might be able to we might be able to protect our Nidalee with this health growth thing if the opponent doesn't feel too clever about casting spells in combat. It's kind of scary in terms of Vi. Okay, just gives up on it because it's like he can cast a spell in the middle of combat and cause a problem that way. But doesn't seem like it's going to come about. Now let's continue to just level up our stuff. We're going to get these absolutely massive transforms on this upcoming turn. All right, Dawn Speakers is good. We lost a unit, so we'll get at least a +1/+1 onto Nidalee. And now we're gonna big game tycoon and let the fun begin. Let's see how this goes. So get our big boy down. Probably want the Avenging Vestaya here. It's going to take us a round or 2 to get it online. Oh, and he's going to let us do stuff? He had the double stun in hand and didn't go for it. Okay. So let's start leveling up. I guess we can lead in with the Mage Seeker Inquisitor. I'm pretty certain I'm just gonna take another transform here. No idea how this is going to stack up with the big game hunter. So it's got the +5/+4 at the moment. Now let's do another one. See if we get an awesome thing in here. Elusive seems pretty good. Seems better than Scout. Combat. LOL. Now you can have a silence to get out of some of this. That's kind of annoying, right? But That's the stuff right there, isn't it? LOL. I'm always happy when it comes together in the first game,
Feast tonight.
because I'm certainly not a master of this style of deck, and just letting it happen, letting it roll for everyone that just skips out after the first game. You got to see what the deck is capable of doing. Ooh, that feels good. I'm excited about that. And that was Prism World as well. If you're not familiar with Prism World, he is trying to keep the competitive scene up and alive. He's been doing tournaments, and so I've seen them get organized on Reddit. He has some kind of Discord to where he's assembling players for those tournaments as well. I feel like he had a tournament before Dreamlit Paths came out and maybe rounded up 30 people or so. And then I feel like he might have one this weekend. So if you listen to this video in the morning, you might be able to jump into it today, or it might be next weekend. I'm not entirely certain where it is, but I do know that he is trying to keep that up and running. There's a prize pool and stuff, and so props to him.
Just what I need.
All right, round number 2 up against Vex Lux. So you assume this is just a spirit boost deck. It's going to try and get the most out of both the spirits and the what's it called? The Vex thing, the dumb removal spells, the glooms. But not the strongest of starts. We should hopefully be able to pop off here in a little bit. I don't intend on the Shadows in the Brush really doing too much this turn. If he plays Lux, then we could have, looked to strike her down. But that's not what turned up. Now that he's put the Grotesque Gift on the board, I'm pretty certain... Well, this hits the weakest one, right? Not the strongest? Yeah, I'm going to say I'd feel okay taking that unit down in combat, but our Shadows in the Brush is a little bit too small. Or, I'm sorry, the All-Terrain Trooper's going to hit Jero. So we can still drop Knack Attack. He's going to become a 0-2. Not that big of a problem. You can start dropping glooms and stuff on it, but it's at least not enough to get the kill, and it does soak up those 2 glooms when he's kind of in a space to where it's not too crazy to think that those things will just kill off our ambushes. Alright, so a reasonable hit coming in from the opponent. Very awkward hand that we're kind of stuck with here. We can at least say ambush an all-terrain trooper and then follow up with another, with an Avenging Vastaya. I guess. It doesn't sound that great, but it does at least let us come out and spend our mana. Might find ourselves able to... Yeah, he's gonna outscale us here. Our hand is just way too awkward. I was gonna say we might be able to get something going with the Wings Giving, but make a sad groan. I don't think we even want to attack with our 4-2. Gonna need it on the defense, I think. But if it comes down to it, we can say Wings Giving onto the Vastaya, and then so many unit shrinkers, and then just transform it later. All right, Light of Demacia is fine. So I'm curious how he really feels about these attacks. We do get a pretty strong Avenging Vastaya out of this. We've got to start getting some shutdowns on this stuff. Are we willing to just fall to 6? The thing that worries me about this is getting hit from impacts, but I don't think he's going to have a ton of impact in this deck, right?
Stay
Doesn't seem like something that should happen. Let's swap these around so our Avenging Vestaya isn't quite as damaged. I think that we're realistically just going to hit the Vestaya with the Wings Giving on this upcoming turn, but there's no reason to put that extra point of damage on it when we're just going to trade out the All-Terrain Trooper. No, Quicksand turning up. Turns out Quicksand is quite good against the Spirit decks. It's one of the actual very interesting reasons to be playing Shurima these days, is just getting access to Quicksand, right? If we get the turn the Tree Sprites into a 2-2 and the Grotesque Gift into a 2-2, then we're going to come up with some very good blocks, and so I'm interested.
My best sidekicks yet.
Now, do we just end up passing through the turn here? I kind of like the 3-bank. Let's see how he spends his mana. You know, if he plays a slow speed thing here, now we have that perfect information. But I was going to say, if he plays like a slower speed thing here, we can hit it with the Vestaya. If we go into the next turn and just have Quicksand mana banked up, that's good. And then if none of that stuff pans out, we get to just drop in the Wings Giving, upgrade this Vestaya, and probably have decent combats with Vex here, right? This is going to heal our Vestaya, give it 2 more +1/+1s, give it some more impact. And Mage Seeker Inquisitor, it's going to be a 6/6, so it's not enough to take down Vex, but it can pick on these smaller plays out here. I think I like it. Gotta remember he doesn't have Tough anymore.
Beg for mercy.
Just go after Jaro, the weaker play. Then I'm curious if he like brings an open attack on us next turn. This Vex has to be close to flipping, right? He's at 4 of 5. Takes the boost, sure.
I'll make your midnight dreary.
Pretty certain this is okay.
You're welcome.
So Vex falls to a 5/5. Probably worth it just to go ahead and get him off of the board. Bring something like this. Does suck to lose the Inquisitor, but yeah, like I have to imagine that if we're able to just like get out of this turn, that we're gonna be okay. So how this gives, what's happening? Oh, he's shrinking our Mage Seeker Inquisitor. Let's just flip the Vestaya. Okay. Gotta feel good about that, right? Awesome. Woof. I thought that one was Dunzo's. He started getting all those units on the board, and I was like, ah, we're so fucked. Not today. Not today, fam. Nidalee's coming out here doing the work. I hope old Plink is doing okay. Like, whenever... well, I guess if you're not familiar, Plink was one of the senior devs at Riot and was a huge Nidalee fanatic. Anytime you queued into Plink, he was playing some Nidalee deck like 90% of the time. And at the last season where Nidalee was competitive, I always felt that she was just like pure garbage. Like anytime I would pair into someone like playing Nidalee, I was like, oh, this is a free win. Except Plink. I bet Plink had like a 90% win rate against everything that I was doing. And so I had to give it a little bit of respect from the master. And so it's interesting the powers that can come about. But all right, this is a spot to where playing the Nidalee decks kind of, you know, I don't have real enough experience to feel super confident in what we're doing. In terms of the cards that we want to keep with our openers and stuff, it's like, I guess this is okay. We're up against Poro King P&Z, so I don't want to just run Nidalee out on turn 2. She's going to die. I would prefer to get a little bit of value out of these Curious Changelings if we can. And now that we've picked up this Bristlehog draw, it's all going to curve out very nicely coming into turn 4. turn 5 probably when we'll be getting those attacks in. See what happens. There's nothing too scary coming out of the Poros in the early game. A little surprised he's not getting attacks in, though. We'll go ahead and send the squad at this point. We could have considered playing Nidalee. Like, maybe we should have. I'm not super familiar enough with the removals that are running around in this format. Right? Like, just dropping Nidalee and getting this huge burst of damage seems pretty good, right? My concern with playing Nidalee is that she just gets popped by a Mystic Shot, but there's not... Well, I shouldn't say there's not a ton of removals. I should say I'm not certain how many, like, 3 damage removals are running around, right? As we were looking in some of the previous seasons, and it's just like a bunch of people playing Aftershocks and stuff. I'm not certain where we currently stand in terms of that being bad. We're going to get an open Poro snack. If he doesn't Poro snack on an open, we definitely have to just drop Nidalee now. But right, if he gets to snack into both of our 1/1s and get the kill, yeah, kind of sucks. Kind of sucks. I'm not going to burn the spell here. It just kind of is what it is. What is this thing? Curse an enemy with terror. I'm so not used to generating the Shurima spells. I don't think that's where we want to be. Feral Prescience doesn't seem terrible, just giving us something to do, but realistically, probably just want this heroic refrain. Wanting to see if we pick up a transformer that isn't Nidalee, so we can get a little bit of usage out of these changelings. Well, we'll drop Nidalee in. Oh shit, he's still got a pile of mana. Okay. That's fine, I guess. I saw his normal mana drain out, and I was like, alright, no big deal. And then it turned out it was a big deal. Turned out it was. None of this feels spectacular. Let's get the Conchologist on board. I'll take the Pytosses. My expectations for them are quite low. He has played 1 Poro snacks and no other ways to generate them, so maybe we don't have to worry a ton. But I would like to be able to just Pytos off these 1 health units if we can. Get out of here, Mariam. Seems like it should be reasonably safe. But yeah, like, I'm definitely certain we messed this game up. We should have just ran out that Nidalee and upgraded all of our Bristle Hogs. And, you know, just taking that little bit of advantage early. Losing all of our units in that way was pretty terrible. Got the second snacks, must be nice. All you can say to that is sure. Just load it all up in this bad game. Just let everything go wrong in this one. And we can move on and try and fix things for the next one. Do we ever try and protect the Nidalee here? I mean, we have the heroic refrain. The awkward thing with this turn is, like, if we come out of the turn, we really struggle to get, like, the Paraphant and the Changelings on board all at the same time. It's like we need 10 mana to pull all of that off. If we heroic refrain and then ambush, that would be 2. Would be 1 short of doing what we need. Alright, well, we'll just assume it won't happen on this next turn. I think if Nidalee eats a Mystic Shot here, it's kind of okay. We could certainly have worse things happen. Now the Poro King. Interesting. I'm not quite certain how to handle this Wings Giving. Like, I'm pretty certain we want to get the Paraphant on board as the ambush and then flip so that the Changelings gets a piece of it. But it is interesting the things that come out of the Wings Giving when you start to flip in with the Curious Changelings as well.
I have their scent.
I'm just going to go ahead and run it. Like, he doesn't have to take the damage there. Like, it was only 9 damage if we just sent the attack in. That's nowhere near enough for a lethal. And so I think we just gotta show our hand. We gotta show our cards that we can bang. I'm here to bang, bro. I wonder if we should have prowled before combat, so that we could have got the double stacks on the Paraphants. I'm not entirely sold on that being good. I would love to be able to kill the Poro King here. Bring in that block. Alright, we'll use the regular prowl there. In case Nidalee falls, we'll still have a backup copy of her in hand. I think she's going to be pretty important. Now, one of the points of curiosity is, do we ever want to start Wings Giving on the Paraphant? Man, the Tycoon turning up. Oh, man. I think we just end up dropping him here. And then that'll leave us in a space next turn to where we have a couple of more options. So I definitely want to pick up the Paraphant, right? So we can just play it and flip it if that's what the game comes down to. Don't even have to use the Wings Giving. I think that's okay. Like, this is one of these things to where I feel like if we get into the next turn, we should just win the game. But that might be a little off base. You always have to worry about bullshit from the from the deck here to where they're able to pick up the fast speed removals, or I'm sorry, the frostbites out of the Poro King. So just something like this. The Tycoon lives. We have to fall to 3 this way, which is a little bit scary. It would end up dying to blowback, which is kind of whatever. The other kind of point of curiosity is if we ever want to prowl onto the Paraphant and try and get a takedown on the Poro King. Oh, I forgot about these bonus snacks in hand. What's this happen? We just fall to 1. I saw the Poro snacks and just completely ignored that it's capable of dealing damage, and so that's the way to go about it. All right, well, we die to a lot. I think we like seeing the formula come down. You know, it just if he just has the Mystic Shot right to the face, then it's not nearly as bad, but maybe we're okay. Maybe he just doesn't have it. There is a world to where you do have to worry a little bit about Avenging Vestaya, but you're never truly worrying about it here, I don't think. Now, my last point of freshness here is we can put like +2 attack with the Prowl onto the Paraphant, which would make it an 8. It's going to flip into 16. 16's not enough for lethal, and so what I'm thinking we need to do here is play the Wings Giving and then hit on the Paraphant and hope. Right? We upgrade the Paraphant into a 7-coster and see if it hits something big. Does any of this stuff do something awesome? I have to just take the Fey Folk. Get those impacts in.
I'm a hero.
Alright, so it says 12 on the board. I gotta assume that he's gonna block our... Oh, you don't even impact? Shit, you were already summoned. That's too bad. Oh, he's got a Deathless Poro King? The fuck did that come from? Just picking up the random thing for Deathless? Ugh. Okay. I'm pretty certain we're short here, right? This is only going to be 12 with 5 through the Poro King. Okay. GG. Yeah, I'm not certain how different that game would have been had we not messed up in the early game. That would have been a real big damage prevent in the sense that he wouldn't have just had free reign over all of our units. He'd have probably had to have thrown away some Poros. And so it's just kind of a scaling problem from there to where we didn't force any of his units off the board or we didn't force in any extra damage. And while it didn't feel like we immediately lost the game because we fucked up right there, that was a huge point in needing to deal 10 and needing to deal 18 is a very big difference. Can deal that 18, but in spots like this where the Poros were so big, you don't have that opportunity to do it. Now, this is interesting. What is Vex Tristana? Like, I don't know, man. Quicksand is so good in this format. I'm curious how greedy we should be in terms of hanging on to those things. Because they're so good against the spirits, but it's probably a little too defensive. It's not something I feel spectacular about. And I'm just going to go ahead and attack. Very easy for them to have a 2-2 on 2. We'll come in with the Vestaya. There's a chance we'll get to flip it kind of early here. No need.
From all the regions, we are one.
We should just start leveling up at this point, right? We'll drop the Wings Giving in. Not quite ready to combo win with the Big Game Tycoon, but we do get to take the Bristle Hog from 1 to 2, get the bonuses on it. The next turn we get to take it from 2 to 3, and we can potentially get something big with the Changelings. Or, I mean, maybe it's better just to hang on to the mana at that point, since we do have a Vestaya down, and just look to upgrade a little further. Oh shit, you don't get the bonus yet? Shit. I haven't tried him as the first transform. That's kind of a bummer. Still not a bad unit to pick up in this space. Like, I have to imagine if we're able to defend until we get Big Game Tycoon on board, we're gonna be okay. But there's no denying that was sloppy. All right, what do you got? 3 drops. Something exciting? What do we got in here? Not really. Not really. We can pick the Acoustician here. We're not going to be able to attack with it, but it had some potential, right? just say right so I feel a little bit better. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't like how we've done this. Like, if the unit had the 2/1 on it, then this would have felt okay, right? Like, if we had 2 4/4 acousticians on this turn, that would actually be quite good. But I didn't realize we were going to miss out on the bonus from our unit. Learning moment.
Looking splendid, sir. Very mayoral.
You know his hat and moustache are keen, no? Inspires trust and all that.
Didn't realize the other guy was just going to be permanently the acoustician as well. Huh.
They call it
All kinds of learning that we're doing here.
in our sleep.
That's painful. That's real painful when we don't have a quicksand.
Taking point.
Some encouraging words.
Still got 1 mana behind to do some nonsense with.
That trouble.
So that's an easy one. I probably need to take down the big boy here. I'm not super interested in whatever Nidalee's doing this game. I guess we can take the extra 2 points of damage to get the Bandle City Mayor off board. And we're still 2 turns away from getting the big game Tycoon down. Okay.
Yep, let's shoot it. Kind of my catchphrase.
Magical Fettering. I don't think that's quite what we're trying to do. So I still want to hang on to the Wings Giving. We're going to use that to load up the Acoustician. Like, I guess it's okay just to drop the Paraphant. Like, it gives us an interactive unit for the next turn. Like, if he wants to drop the big boosts on this turn, then, like, fine, I guess. It doesn't, like, if he drops the boost 3 times card this turn, how scary is that? Right, he gets the a total of 4 boosts on his units this round. I don't think I care. And then if we get to Big Game Tycoon, we might still be able to win this. Okay. Can he burst kill us here? I guess there's a real chance, like if he activates both these things at the start of his turn. Well, we can't add any more units to the board anyways. Gotta just draw Quicksand. Maybe he won't open because the Wings Giving looks like a unit. You gotta hope and dream somewhere, right?
Handle gunner, Tristana, going in.
Yeah, we just have to get shit on board.
Such is the way.
This is lethal. With the impact, he's got 4 impact. Yeah, we're dead. Maybe he'll do something weird though. It's the hope and dream. Maybe he'll do something weird. All right, this is just done. This is just done. That was a fairly awkward draw. I don't know, like. Quicksand is so good in those matches, right? Like, if you imagine that we had a Quicksand on the previous attack and we were able to take down the Tristana and take the Spirit off of another unit and still have units around, that would have been nice. Now, again, that was another one to where messing up the Transform didn't help any. And I'm not certain where we stand with that Avenging Vastaya being the proper early unit. We might have just needed to have, like, flipped it earlier to get it up and running. It's tough for me to decide. This is not. This deck is not my wheelhouse, right? Get me back out here with some misfortune, and we'll get sorted quick. All right, though, this will be our final battle. See if we can't do something exciting here. We got all the tools one would want to do exciting stuff, right? We've got our big game tycoon. Do we ever want to scrap heap here? Take the Mecha Yordle? Or I'm not super interested in the guaranteed Nidalee. Probably just want scrap heap.
Astounding curiosities lie ahead.
Oh, we'll see if we can't do something big here. We're gonna have a bit of time against a Lillia deck, I think. I don't think that'll be the craziest thing I've said today. I think we want to take this a little slower, right? I mean, we have all the tools we need to just get the KO on turn 7. We should be able to play a Curious Changelings on turn 6 and then just flip stuff and get the kill that way. Like, I think that's gonna be fine. Let's just send in an attack. He's never gonna block, and then we can follow up with the Curious Changelings.
When you put down roots, you choose a place to die.
Maybe the Changelings is too early, right? As we used the Changelings earlier, I had in my head that it was functioning like the Valley of Imitation, to where it flips and then goes back and flips and goes back, and that's not the case. That's not what was happening there. And so I think that again, we just need a little bit more time with this stuff.
Magic brings us together.
I don't think we care about these. And we'll just hang on to the mana. We're going to look to start getting the Wings Giving going. And so next turn, I am going to look to flip the Shadows. We're going to get some boosts there. Then we're going to look to Wings Giving that same unit and get the growth happening. We should be able to then big game Tycoon on 7 and see if we can't get a kill out of something. Oh shit, we should have flipped right here. We could have gotten the vulnerable onto Lux.
Oh, good.
That's bad. That's bad. It's probably not enough to lose the game, but much rather be taking Lux down in this place as opposed to a Mr. Root. We should have just played the Wings Giving first, right? And then we could have burst sped all of this. We could have. Well, you're right. We should. I don't know. That's not entirely true. We would have. We would have hit on the Lux on the turn before. I wonder if this guy's playing the deck I put up there. The Altar of Unity works on some stuff, but not all of the stuff. Dude, we got another Chief Knack attack. I don't mind if I do. Let's just kill off the Conchologist. If he's got a spirit thing for that unit, I don't really care. So what we're looking to do here, what we're building up to, maybe we shouldn't have got rid of the Conchologist. Because the thing that we're going to be trying to do... Hang on. I think we need to supercharge this turn. No, we'll still have the mana next turn. We're just going to play Curious Changelings. Okay. I'm like 75% confident I'm just gonna fuck this up, but you know, it is what it is. How do we feel about the birds? Like, I don't think we have to get the Curious Changelings going. It's just that we do need to supercharge something. Then we can hit it with the transforms next turn. No, we got to play the big game Tycoon. So who are we looking to get? We have 9 mana. Like a Supercharge is 4. If we want a Wings Giving, that's 3. We can't do that. We can't do all 3, though. If we want to get the Changelings down, then we just got to kind of do it on this space. Let's just pass. I'm okay with that. If he just sends it back and doesn't kill anything, I think that's okay. Like, at worst, what's going to be happening is we play Big Game Tycoon and make a giant fucking unit and start blasting. Like, I think that's fine. He's got to come in with something.
What was I so afraid of?
So where does that get us? Like, we'll be making essentially an 8-drop next turn, right? If the idea being we're going to supercharge the Paraphant, it's going to grant the spell shield Overwhelm, and then it's still going to have the +2/+2 from the Chief Knack attack, and then we're going to get an additional transform on it with the Big Game Tycoon. I think that this is okay. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I could play 100 games of this deck and then still not feel particularly good about it. So anyone interesting in here? Did we damage the enemy nexus? That would have been interesting if we did. Alright, well here comes the fun. We're gonna do the cool stuff next turn. He better not fucking interact with our Big Game Tycoon, right? That's that's what you say. Hey buddy, we're trying to have some funsies out here. Let's not mess with our Big Game Tycoon. Alright, he's on board. I think probably just have to take the Paraphant. We can, if like this goes wrong and we don't die on the next turn, then we can do something there. But very real chance that a sleep comes on board. If our Big Game Tycoon gets slept, then we should be close to dead. I guess if he gets slept, he'll still be around next turn to block if we need him to.
I don't want to be
Uh-oh.
the tallest mother tree.
Uh-oh.
Don't be silly. You'll wear
What we got?
extra clothes.
Ladros? He's the biggest one.
Prime butchery.
Alright, get in there, fam. Bring that heat, bring that thunder. You got the spell shield. You got the overwhelm. That's got to be enough, right? You can block it for 4. Still got 20 rolling through. I think that's it. I think that's it. Do your thing, Commander Ladros. Bring it. Bring it good. He's sitting there doing a little bit of finger math, trying to figure it out. And 22 damages are bigger than 15. I did the mathematics on that one. Gotta feel good about it. Gotta feel good. He just disconnect. He said, "Oh, bust. That's too much. That's too much. You played that game exquisitely, and I can't handle it. I can't handle what just happened to me." Oof. All right. All right. 3 and 2. Not a bad set of battles. Let's pull this up, talk about it a little bit more. And so, yeah, like this is one of these decks that, you know, I can look at and see that something is here. Like I can tell that this thing with Big Game Tycoon and the Wings Giving and granting shit with Supercharge and working with Chief Knack Attack, like this stuff is all potentially a very real deck. These kind of big OTKs tend to work. when people aren't interacting enough. And there's a very real chance that with all of these spirit decks running around, that all they do is say, oh, well, here's a big mountain of stats. Can you stop it? And one of the great ways to stop it is just to overwhelm right through it. And so there should definitely be some real things here. This is definitely a real deck. Like some of the shit that I did earlier in the day, like I did put down, say, like a Curious Changelings and then have a 6-drop on board. I hit the 6-drop with I'm trying to think exactly how I sequenced it. At the end of the day, I know that I got 2 Dreadways on the board, and then I turned a Dreadway into Atacan and attacked for like 60. And that's just the kind of stuff that you can pull off even without like a Supercharge hitting or without a Towering Paraphant or a Nidalee. Like a lot of these expensive units within the game can Wings Giving can hit one of these big units at the end game that has Overwhelm on it naturally. And that's just oftentimes good enough with the big game Tycoon. And so as you are out here just hitting like rando dragons and stuff that have it, you saw us hit things that had elusive earlier. There's just like a ton of big plays at the top end, even if it doesn't involve a supercharge getting you that kill. Now, my thing with this deck, you can see I piloted this poorly. This is not a matter of me just being rusty. My brain does not understand these kind of decks. It doesn't piece together the angles you need to like build up that turn 6 and turn 7 win. This is the kind of deck to where you need to know like exactly what you're doing from like turn 4 and turn 5 earlier and like how your opponent's going to interact with it. And my brain works that way when I'm playing aggro decks. Like I've seen the angles enough. I know what to think about. I know what's coming and what to expect. As I'm playing this kind of combo deck, I just don't have the reps. And even if I did have the reps in, I don't know if my brain could handle it. Like I've just never had the spatial capacity to piece together these good combo decks. And so if this is a deck you like to play, go for it. I think that this is probably a very real deck in this format. If you like to play combo decks, this should be right up your alley as well. And even if you aren't, up into that kind of stuff, this does have 2 things going for it, right? I know that we played against like 3 top 16 like the board that we are playing there, you get for top 16ing an open, and I think we played against 3 of them, and we were playing against like real strong players the entirety of the way through, and we still managed to like crush at 3 and 2 while just playing completely poorly. And so the deck can carry on its own even if you're playing bad, and it should have some of that stuff to it at this point to where not enough people know what's happening. And so feel free to take my stuff and run with it. I'm not a particularly well-known content creator, and so it's not like Mega Mogwai is posting this deck and then thousands of people are running out to try it on the next thing. And so this isn't a deck that you're going to see an absolute ton of, and if you're not expecting it, then you could just get the big booms with the supercharges and the like. And so more power to you. So good stuff. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you learned a thing or two along the way. You had a good time watching. This is Busted Me. Thank you for being here.